So we're starting off tonight with why would you make an FMV game in today's society? Now, an FMV game would be things like Dragon's Lair, Sewer Shark, Night Trap, Double Switch.
Double Switch.
Yeah, Double Switch. Yeah. Games that basically are run off of FMVs. And if you look down at the article here, you're going to see that there is a company making a game called Not for Broadcast. And Not for Broadcast is an FMV game. And the article addresses, well, why would you do that? Why would you use full motion video nowadays when you can render everything in 3D? And the answer is actually quite simple, but tonight we're going to kind of dive into things a little bit. Okay, does FMV have a place anymore?
Yeah.
And that is...
Does FMV still have a place in today's video games where we can actually use game engines and render everything?
With cinematic quality.
Yeah.
So this game, Not for Broadcast, is set up, it's kind of like your mystery, and you are you're a person working in a TV studio. And you're filtering through clips and various pieces of information, kind of getting you clues on what's going on. And it's very unique and different compared to, like, your usual. You think of a mystery game, you think of things like, or horror game, you think of things like survival horror.
Right.
More modern ones like the Dark Anthology, Man of Medine, those,
yeah, those are classics. And The Room.
The Room, right. The Room, which is more mystery. But it's all very 3D rendered inside the engine itself. Nowadays, that's the norm. But this game here, Not for Broadcast, is doing full FMV. So it seems like already we have commentary from the audience.
Yeah, BG thinks it would work to make an FMV game. He mentions Wing Commander.
Okay, 2 and 3.
Wing Commander or Gabriel Knight would probably do it well. And I agree with you. Wing Commander. I remember that back in the day, and that would probably work, I think, really well.
Yes, including Tim Curry being a communist talking about space.
Of course. And Rack thinks that the genre, and I agree with Rack, the genre, it would be interesting for it to have a comeback.
Right.
I think it really does have a place.
It does.
In things.
Let's talk about one of the most popular games ever made with FMVs, and that's Night Trap. Which, in Night Trap, you're playing a guy in a security truck, directing, which is basically SWAT teams, through a house with a bunch of traps against vampires. And you arm the traps, and you press the button, and the traps go off and trap the, I think they're called augurs, the vampires.
I don't remember what they're called, but yeah.
They're basically vampires. And you're graded on how many of these you trap, and if you don't trap enough in a certain point, you lose. And during the course of the game, the security protocol for the house has changed from like red to purple, whatever, and you have to make sure you watch that sequence when the people who own the house say, okay, we're going to change security from red to purple. Otherwise, you're locked out and you lose. So there's a number of fail gates in that game. But what made it interesting was, it was terrible acting. Oh my God, it was so bad. The sleepover party with the girls kind of jamming to like the 80s rock music was just absolutely terrible.
It's the 80s.
So bad. But it had a charm to it, and in that case, you were watching things through the lens of a security camera.
Yeah.
It's the game that tried to emulate it, Double Switch, with I think Corey Feldman, did the exact same thing. You were looking through a security camera. And in this game here, you're looking through cameras. So the whole point of this, sorry for the diatribe, is that in these instances, this genre is relying on you pretending that you're on a video camera, that you're looking through a camera that already exists.
You're the one looking through the camera, and that's how you're perceiving the world, and you have to interact with the world through that camera.
Right. Exactly. And hey, Kuda dude, sorry, we're on a bit of a ramble there, but we saw you, man. Hope you're doing well tonight. But like Teal said, you're seeing things through a lens that already exists, as opposed to watching a scene as it is. And that's the thing, too, is the other style of FMV games were things like, I'm referencing Sewer Shark, but technically Dragon's Lair is the same thing. It's animated, where it's a quick time event. And if you fail the quick time
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
you lose, or you're penalized, and if you fail too many,
That's true.
you lose.
Mhm.
So that's the limitations of FMVs are pretty notable. You know, you either have it as a quick time event thing or an observational thing. And my opinion is that over time, the quick time event has kind of fallen out of vogue. It's only very rarely used. There's one game I've seen recently in the past like 5 years, and it's called Press X to Not Die. And it's making fun of that genre. You know, so...
Well, there were just a lot of problems with the QTEs in general, so I'm actually really happy that they've gone the way of the dinosaur. Because I didn't like playing with them.
Right, right. And
But getting back on the topic,
right.
Yes, the FMV games are making a bit of a comeback.
Right. And in doing so, they're following the pattern like Night Trap or Broadcast, where it's here you are watching video that's already been recorded, and through watching the video that's there, whether it's simulating live or simulating video that's already been made, you're experiencing this story. Usually a mystery, often horror.
I think FMV style works really well with found footage.
Agreed.
If you have a found footage style horror or survival horror video game, FMV is definitely a good way to tap into that, I think.
I agree, and I would love to see, now that you're mentioning it, I would love to see a found footage horror game that uses FMV that utilized both the quick time event concept and the watching the video. You know, so like, let's say you're watching the video, but then the quick time event would be either arming a trap or alerting a member of the crew that something bad's about to happen, but you're still watching through the event, through the lens. Now, BG just mentioned shape-shifting detective. I hit the mic. BG just mentioned
shape-shifting detective.
That, and we have that, and we have Erica. Both of those are FMVs, and that's kind of the third thing that we've seen where it is a movie, and you are using certain controls, like to strike the match at the beginning of Erica, or you know, when you're at the area where the girl is tied to a table and you have to choose which drug to put inside of her to try to save her life. You know, you move Erica, you motion Erica, go here or go there, and she opens up the cabinet like it's a movie, and looks inside, and you click, okay, I want to choose this right here, and then maybe it saves her or doesn't save her, you know, that kind of thing. But it's still technically a QTE.
And a game that used QTE I thought pretty well was Until Dawn.
Yes, it did. Someone mentions Azor's Wrath.
Yes, and if you could incorporate that use of QTE with an FMV style game, I could get behind that.
Right, and you can use the cinematics of like jump cuts and shit. Like, you know, you do a cut, no one's going to know, okay, so that was a QTE moment. And if you have a good match cut, people aren't going to realize that those are two separate takes, because that's what match cuts do.
Right.